Of all the clones to have ever graced our screens, few were ever as beloved as CT-7567, codenamed Rex. Captain Rex first appeared in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and he's been in every show since, from Star Wars Rebels to The Bad Batch. And for good reason. Rex represented the perfect clone. Strong, brave, a courageous leader, and, above all else, a man who didn't hesitate to stand up for what he believed in and take action. But he wasn't always that way. Once, Rex was like his clone brothers, blindly obedient to the Republic. Over the course of the Clone Wars, however, we got to see his illusions slowly crumbling until he learned not only to think for himself, but also to see past the lies they were all being told. In today's video, we'll be looking at 5 moments that helped Rex see the truth.
Attention, Sergeant on deck!
The first instance that began Captain Rex's path to enlightenment took place during the Battle of Christosis, only 7 weeks into the Clone Wars. When the Jedi and Republic forces discovered that an ambush they sprung had failed due to the Separatists already knowing of their plans, the Republic forces concluded that there was a traitor among their midst. After some digging, Captain Rex and Commander Cody discovered that the traitor was one of their own men, a clone by the name of Slick. Now, we've talked about Slick more than once, and for good reason. Slick's mere existence was a big deal, something that should have never been possible. You see, when the Kaminoans delivered the clones to the Republic, they touted their creations as completely obedient tools that would never question orders. Clones were designed to serve in the GAR and were supposed to be incapable of envisioning any other future for themselves. But then there was Slick. When facing down against Rex and Cody, he didn't hold back in telling them why he had betrayed the Republic. Slick was sick and tired of the suffering he and his clone brothers had to endure. He hated how the clones were essentially slaves to the Jedi, forced into a brutal war they had no stakes in, only to be used and abused. Clones had no freedom, he said, and all he'd wanted for himself and his brothers was for them to be able to live a life that wasn't just warfare. Those were thoughts and feelings clones were supposed to never be able to have, and Rex got to hear it all. At the time, he and Cody put the traitor away, but Slick's words undoubtedly left a mark, even if it was one Rex wouldn't revisit for quite a few years. Flash forward a few months, and Rex found himself on Seleucamite, with Obi-Wan Kenobi, Commander Cody, and several other clones hot on the tail of General Grievous. While on patrol, 2 surviving Separatist commando droids took aim and shot Rex in the chest, leaving him critically wounded. To better treat his wounds, his teammates moved him to a nearby farm, where they were welcomed with wariness and distrust by a female Twi'lek and her children. Although they allowed the clones to stay and provided food, something was wrong. That something turned out to be the Twi'lek's husband, who was a clone deserter. His name was Cut Lawquane, and he told Rex that he had left the army because he didn't want to kill for a living. When Rex accused him of breaking his oath to the Galactic Republic, Cut fired back that he'd also made an oath to his family. He maintained that clones were individuals with their own wants. Even clone codenames were a way to be unique in an army of identical faces. When Cut asked him if Rex had ever imagined his ideal life outside the army, Rex replied that his ideal life was in the army. In the end, Rex chose to leave and not report his desertion, even though it was his duty to do so. Even though he didn't agree with his choice, Rex realized it was Cut's choice to make, and he had to respect the life his brother had chosen for himself. Slick had once betrayed him and the other clones for a chance to lead the life he wanted, and Rex had condemned him for it. But when he saw a clone hurting no one, just living peacefully with a family he loved, Rex realized that, no matter what they were conditioned to believe in, this wasn't morally wrong. Lawquane deserved a life he could be proud of, and he deserved that choice. Rex couldn't not respect it. Respecting that, however, simultaneously meant acknowledging that clones did have a choice and that they were entitled to wanting more. Nearly a year later, Rex and the 501st were deployed on Umbara. With Anakin Skywalker called away temporarily, Jedi Master Pong Krell was placed in command of his unit, and, well, we don't need to talk much about him, do we? Pong Krell is possibly the most hated character in Star Wars The Clone Wars, and we wholeheartedly believe he deserves it. From the very beginning, he treated clones like garbage. After serving under Jedi that saw value in them, it was jarring for the clones to be treated like they were expendable meatbags. Krell didn't care if his tactics meant senseless clone deaths. He didn't care if he was running them ragged. He didn't care if the clones knew better or could think of better battle plans. He made sure to dehumanize them by using their clone numbers, even refusing to use their codenames outright. In short, he was a Sith head, and the clones bulked under his command. At first, however, they didn't know what to do about such blatant mistreatment. The clones turned to Rex for guidance, but Rex insisted on respecting the chain of command. He was hesitant to speak against Krell, even when he had ordered the execution of 2 loyal clones. But when they revealed that Krell had been a traitor all along, the jig was up. Rex ordered his squad to arrest him, but ultimately didn't have the courage to execute him for betraying them to the Separatists, which Krell openly taunted him for. Krell was undoubtedly the worst commander Rex had ever served under, and the most openly clone-hating. This was possibly the first time Rex had ever seen himself and his brothers being so dehumanized by a Jedi, and the way Krell had abused his command stuck in the captain's throat. On Umbara, Rex learnt that the Republic and the Jedi weren't incorruptible bastions of justice, but organizations filled with people that could be just as bad or worse than the people they were fighting. But that wasn't the heaviest lesson he learnt that day. That day, Rex learnt the price of indecisiveness. Due to his hesitation to push back against an obviously hostile and malicious leader, his brothers suffered and many clones died unnecessarily. Rex's insistence on obeying the chain of command had led to a lot of pain and suffering, even though he'd known he should have stepped in. That day, Rex learnt that he should have less trust in command and more trust in himself, and we clearly see him carrying this lesson over to the rest of the series. Rex remembered that lesson a few months later when Ahsoka Tano was accused of treason. At that time, someone had committed numerous acts of terrorism against the Jedi Temple on Coruscant and killed a few Jedi. Ahsoka seemed to be the most likely candidate, and the Jedi Council had reason to believe she was behind the attacks. Ahsoka, of course, was innocent and only wanted a chance to prove she wasn't involved. The Republic, however, didn't seem to want to give her that chance. When she escaped the temple and fled to the Coruscant Undercity, clone troopers were sent after her. They all received shoot-to-kill orders, but Rex immediately saw that these orders weren't fair. He had served alongside Ahsoka for years and had first-hand experience of her loyalty. Even though Command had reasons to believe Ahsoka was guilty, it didn't sit right with Rex to not give the Jedi a chance to explain herself. Shoot-to-kill orders didn't reward loyalty or give someone the benefit of the doubt. In that instance, Rex saw through the order and realized what it meant. Everyone is disposable, and Republic Command doesn't care about innocence or guilt, loyalty or treason. All they cared about were results. That didn't sit right with him, and that's why he did everything he could to bring Ahsoka in alive. He didn't shoot to kill, and when Ahsoka was proven innocent at the end, all it did was reinforce his conclusion. They were on the side of the Republic, but the Republic was on no one else's side. Which brings us to the final nail in the coffin. We couldn't possibly talk about seeing through the veil of lies that stretched over the Clone Wars without mentioning the incident with Fives. In the final year of the Clone Wars, during the Battle of Ringo Vinda, a clone trooper by the name of Tup went mad during combat and assassinated Jedi Master Tiplar. This was a premature execution of Order 66, but of course, no one at the time knew that. Another clone trooper named Fives began investigating what had happened, knowing Tup wasn't insane. Through his investigation, he managed to uncover the conspiracy behind the clones' inhibited chips, even going so far as to connect them to Palpatine. His findings, combined with Palpatine's interference, made him incredibly paranoid, and rightfully so, but he still did his best to expose the truth. The Republic wanted him silenced. Rex was there when they cornered a runaway Fives who spilled the beans. He told Rex everything, but before he could be taken into custody, Commander Fox killed him. And Rex was there to watch. He watched as a fellow clone that needed help, that seemed to believe in a great conspiracy theory, was brutally and unapologetically silenced by Republic forces. Forces that were eager to dismiss his ramblings. And of course, it sounded crazy, but crazy or not, the way Fives was silenced set off some alarm bells for Rex. What it said was that the truth didn't matter unless it suited the Republic. Whether Fives was right or wrong, the Republic prioritized silencing him over investigating, and if that isn't the first sign of an authoritarian regime, we don't know what is. By nature, people want to continue believing in what they believe in. Our perception of reality is comfortable and safe, which is why it takes so much to suddenly lose faith in what we considered to be the truth. At the end of the day, it wasn't one thing that made Rex doubt. It was a series of events he witnessed that slowly exposed the true nature of the Republic. He had been fighting for a government he believed to be the bastion of democracy. But what he realized was that, in truth, the Republic had already started morphing into the Empire. That's why when Order 66 happened, he was able to resist the compulsion long enough to allow Ahsoka to remove his inhibited chip. That's why he dedicated his life to helping clones escape the Empire, and that's why he didn't stop fighting until the clones were fully decommissioned. What Rex had learned was that clones had a choice. They had a choice and a right to a better life. It was up to him to give it to them since no one else would. But that's our take on it. Do you think there was something that could have made Rex see the truth sooner? Let us know your thoughts in the comments section below. And as always guys, thank you so much for watching and I hope to see you in the next video.